I was born in the highlands of the Ozarks and grew up in an oak tree. My family wasn't too much into art. Different teachers helped me, saying it looks good, you're doing a good job, keep it up. Trying to make out the basic structure, the way the feet are established means a lot. Centering it where it doesn't feel awkward or off balance. When I look at sculpture, that's something I always look for. Does this balance? I've just chosen to work from the human form. All of the shapes that you see in nature are all in the human form. A figure reclining is a landscape. Trees, hillsides, the clouds overhead, they're all there in the human form. The wax is a microcrystalline industrial wax, specially adapted for sculptors and people that are doing casting work. That's a deer bone. Found in a cave. Been used as a tool. These are sprues, and they feed the metal in from the runners. Whenever I do multiples, I put them on a tree and pour, maybe 3 on each tree so the metal feeds into all of them equally. Gotta have a head drain. Drain all the wax out. It's the most important part of the whole piece right here. The drain. If your wax doesn't get out, you got carbon. And then the carbon will ignite when you pour the hot metal into it, so you get what they call blowbacks, shoot metal out. This wax that the pouring apparatus is made out of will burn out once you put it in the burnout furnace. It's just a network of tubes that flow the metal from a large tube to smaller ones. And the main tubes are the runners that carry the metal down from the funnel or the cup. They call it the cup in casting. This is plaster Paris. They'll put this around the bottoms of the plast to cement them with the floor. This is real critical. If you don't have anything to cement it to the floor, the flask will just pick up and mold material will pour out. The flask is a holder. It's heavy felt tar paper. John Bradbury's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's always been a really careful, watchful assistant helping me. The drill, I inherited it from my father, and I think he might have got it from Flash Garden.
All right.
Once it sets up, it's ready to go. I'll take these out of here tomorrow and take them over to the foundry. I learned casting from Eldon Taft. He was quite a professor, sculptor as well. Eldon told me once, he says, I've never seen any figurative sculpture quite like yours. He says, most sculptures are nude, but yours is naked. Checking for the drains all the wax up. Make sure there's no support blocking. These particular bricks were designed by my sculptor instructor. You can hook them together real well, and because of the round nature of the ends, flame goes around it. Flexible furnace will usually climb slowly from room temperature to 1,000 degrees in a 24-hour period. The wax goes up in smoke, is lost by the next day. You have to pack the sand around the flask to keep it from breaking out. It's kind of a second line of defense against a tidal wave of molten bronze. Terry Earl He's also been helping me for quite some time. The three of us have been a good team together. It's pretty much a 19th century operation around here, basically. Rodin's method on a small scale. The bronze I use is called Ebidur. It is an alloy of copper, tin, and silica. You gotta let it go in its own particular manner. Try to rush it every which way I could possibly think of, but each process has its own rules. It's a rhythm you get into, a pouring rhythm. It has to be a sequence of events, and each one has to be timed in a certain way so you don't have a period in between where there's a dead space. It could create really a problem in your casting. Getting around 24 right now, so it's time to go. 2400. Yeah. Oh, it's full pop. Let's go. The crucible is made out of graphite and silicon. Makes it highly refractive. Okay, go ahead and close it. Boss copper is used to flux the metal, makes it more fluid. It's like a seasoning for the metal.
Oh, just barely. Okay, let's just kind of lean it here.
Yeah.
Ah, bravo, floor.
Yeah, I had a little bit too much metal, but better to have too much than not enough. One night, I needed some extra metal, and Molten Man was there. When I'd done it, I was thinking of a prize fighter putting his hands over his head in triumph. I needed some extra metal, so I grabbed him up and stuck him in the crucible. This was his final fight. In the crucible, he became Molten Man. If I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have melted him down when I think back on it. But it's too late now. He gave himself to make something else. So hurrah for Molten Man. The divesting container is a half of a gas tank my father pried off an old Model T Ford. It's sort of like a wheelbarrow without wheels. At this point, the plaster mold is running around 1,000 degrees. That's one reason I prefer to pour in the winter. This lost wax method goes a ways back into the Bronze Age. 5,000 years ago, the Assyrians were already experts at it. My hero, Rodin, pushed the limits of bodies in bronze in the 19th century. Everything's going to have defects in it, because the method of casting is not perfect. A lot of times you'll have something missing or a hole in something, but it's always anticipation. See what you spent all the time and so much effort trying to create. All that surface deteriorates with the heat. But there isn't a lot of shrinkage, which usually occurs in thick areas of the bodies. He's okay, just got flashing. I ran across a book of Degas miniature sculptures, little wax pieces, and they took them and cast them into bronze. It really changed my way of working. It was a nice size to work in because it was so much easier to translate the figure rapidly and precisely as possible. It taught me how to work small and fast. Things usually break off and you push them. This is flashing, which is caused by fine cracks in the mold material. It's like a fin. Whenever your mold cracks, the metal flows into the crack. Place there in a minute. Chasing, that's what they call cleaning up the bronze, getting it ready for the finish. It's better to close them up with a hammer if you can. I save the metal that's around it. These patinas I put on the metal with heat is probably the fastest way you can give a patina. You get colors mainly in the umbers, more of an umber brown, going all the way to black, depending on the kind of heat you apply to it. You can get any gradation of color by combinations of chemicals. For instance, you get different shades, different tints of green with ammonia. In just a short while, you can make something look like it's very old. I have long admired the first peoples who wandered over the Ozark Plateau. Tribes like the Osage crafted stone tools and arrowheads. When I find a flint knife like this here, plugs me directly into the Stone Age. This is a quote here from Chief Luther's Standing Bear. The man who sat on the ground of his teepee, meditating on life and its meaning, accepting the kinship of all creatures, and acknowledging the unity of the universe of things, was infusing into his being the true essence of civilization. In constructing the deer dancer, the more you put on, the more it comes to life. It starts dancing. I guess I got into it out of necessity. It's the only way you can preserve something that you do in a softer media is to go to bronze. There is a tradition around these parts that if you rub noggins with Einstein, your IQ goes up 10 points for 2 hours. The end. Finita.